Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 921, we're going to talk about the Red Terror. Now, this is a legend that came from the Warhammer 40k decks. But before we get into it, I just want to note that this deck is in Dragon Shield Red. These are matte sleeves. I will do a Dragon Shield video later on, but I wanted to get a deck out, and I'm super excited about this one. I've played it a couple times. Let's read the Red Terror, shall we? We have 4 mana for a 4/3. And we get Glare. There's a lot of Glare. I think it's that triple sleeve that it's in. Whenever a red source you control deals damage to one or more permanents and or players, put a 1/1 counter on the Red Terror. Now, it doesn't matter if you hit a creature, a player, but it's only going to get one. Like if you cast Pyroclasm and deal 2 to everything, then you're only getting 1 counter because that's one source. Now, the card I wanted most for this deck, the very first card, was Pyrohemia. It is the Red Pestilence, and oh man, this thing is amazing. Because this is going to die if there are no creatures. Excluding any other damage sources, Pyrohemia is never going to die with the Red Terror out. Because it deals 1 damage to everything, but we're focusing on the 1 damage to our commander. 1 damage to the commander, and the commander gets a +1 counter. So it still has 3 left to kill at that turn. And you can just keep dumping red mana into it. Incidentally, every other creature on the board is going to die, given enough damage, assuming they're not indestructible or what have you. But, wow, this is the card. Now, we're going to start on... There is a lot of cards in here from the 40k commander decks. There's 20-something commanders in that particular set, so there's going to be more to come. But let's start how we normally do with our mana ramp. Now, we are in mono red, so and with Pyrohemia in mind and a lot of X spells that we have, we need a bunch of it. We have Soul Ring. Beautiful art. They did 4 different arts for Soul Ring. Mind Stone, Wayfarer's Bauble, Cold Steel Heart, Decanter of Endless Water, Gilded Lotus, Worn Power Stone, Fire Diamond, Sisay's Ring, Everflowing Chalice. Now, the Dreamstone Hedron can act late game as some card draw as well, and then Hazaret's Monument, letting you filter. It's a cost reducer, which is why I've got it with the Mana Rocks, but I didn't put it with the card draw because it doesn't really net you any cards, It does filter, which that does matter. Speaking of a filtering, we're going to go into card draw because let's face it, that's mainly what red has. Faithless Looting, Thrill of Possibility. We get a lot of mileage in my local meta from the Humble Defector. We really do. A lot of times 2 people can make a deal and it'll just pass back and forth. Light up the stage in Endless Atlas. Magus of the Wheel is a good one. It's Wheel of Fortune. You just got to stay alive a turn, Itali, card draw, not card draw, which I think is mostly what Red's card draw is card draw, not card draw. Come on, camera, don't sink. I love this camera, but it's a terrible tripod. And then Chandra's Regulator. I think there's only 1 Chandra in the entire deck, but I have it in there for that last ability. 1 mana tap, discard a mountain or a red card to draw a card. That is substantial. We're in mono red. There's a good chance we're going to have, at certain point, you're going to draw mountains that you're not going to want. So, now, as far as the damage dealing, I have 3 categories here. This is the repeatable damage category, we have Lavamancer's skill. It makes enchanted creature a pinger. I mean, that's not bad. We have a couple creatures that it can possibly be put on, like the archetype of aggression or maybe Young Peasy, but turns anything into a pinger. Cavalcade of Calamity. This is a beautiful card. Whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, Cavalcade deals 1 damage to attacking creature or player or planeswalker. So these are 1-point bursts that happen separately. Yeah. The whole thing is to get as many counters on our commander as possible. Now, there is one area lacking in the deck if you are building this deck. I didn't have access to it at the time. I should probably go back and fix that, especially before I list it on Architect. Is protection for the commander. Boots, cloaks, stuff like that. We have Cinder Pyromancer. Play a red spell, it untaps, and it's a pinger. The pingers are outstanding. Thermal Alchemist, really close to the same card. Arcane Teachings is another enchantment that makes something a pinger. Carrie Zev, not a pinger, but she is a 2-drop, and when she attacks, she generates another red source of damage. So that's 2 counters for our commander. The Falkenrath Perforator. Ooh, it deals 1 damage when it attacks. So that is very, very important because the commander gets the counter for the 1 it deals when you declare it as an attacker, and then another counter when it actually connects and they take 2. The Kessig Flame Breather. Cast a non-creature spell, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yes, we only get 1 counter out of it, but we're going to be casting some non-creature spells. Bloodthirster. This card is insane. Deals combat damage to a player, untap it, you get an additional combat step, and it can't attack a player it's already attacked. I have seen this thing. Y'all know we play big games, 6, 7, 9, 10 people, and it just attacks everybody on the board. He just held it and said, you take 6, and then you take 6, and then you take 6. It's crazy. I love it. Hellrider. Woo, here's a card. Creature you control attacks Hellrider, deals 1 damage to the player planeswalker it's attacking. So if you attack with 4 creatures, that is 4 separate instances of Hellrider. Ping, 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 ping. Gutter Snipe. Like I said, instance of sorceries, 2 damage to each opponent. Circle of Flame. When a creature attacks you, deals 1 damage to that creature. That's a counter for the commander. Goblin Fireslinger is a pinger. Chandra Flamecaller. Now, I could have Chandra'd up this deck because a lot of them deal damage, but this one had a +1 to get 2 sources of red damage. Yeah. Inferno Titan seems a good upper end. There is a problem that it's kind of a lower end deck. There's not a lot of fat, so if you get outclassed by something big, it's going to, So I tried to have the Inferno Titan to counter, and it lightning bolts every time it attacks. The Hissing Iguanar. Another creature dies, you may have it deal 1 damage to target. So, not bad. A creature dies, you're going to deal a point and get a counter. Now, Dingastaff is not red. We will not get counters on this, but so many of the cards in the deck kill other people's creatures, and we don't necessarily have a whole lot of them. So this is just going to speed up the game. Then I have what I call mass damage. Stuff like Magma Quake. It does deal damage, but it's to every, a whole bunch of targets. We still just get 1 counter for it, but we kind of need things like this to, wipe the board, stuff like that. Disaster Radius, Starstorm, Let the Galaxy Burn. and then Exocrine. Exocrine is, I love the Ravenous mechanic. Effects equals 5, you get to draw a card. So we're, in mono red, we're always going to do that. We need those cards. It deals X damage to each player and each other creature. That's not bad. Obviously, you have to time your timing perfect here so that it doesn't kill your commander. But hopefully by that time, it's just more. Then we have one shot damage. You know what I'm talking about. Stuff that happens only once, like a lightning bolt. Lightning bolt's a good removal spell. There are, I forget how much of a percentage of creatures that lightning bolt takes off the board. Certainly most for turn 1s and turn 2s, but it's a great card in this particular deck. Then we have stuff like Flame Fusillade. All your permanents become pingers. This is a spot that I don't necessarily know that I need. This could be a Whispersilk Cloak, or a Lightning Greave, something like that. Fiery Confluence. It's not bad. You can deal 1 damage to each creature. You could do all 3. That'd be living the dream. 1 to each creature, 2 to each opponent, and destroy an artifact. Or, if you want to pop 2 artifacts, it's a great card for this. Forge Devil. Enters the back. ETBs deal 1 damage. It kind of pseudo has haste that way in the fact that we're just wanting damage output. Char. Oh, man. Would you believe me if I told you there was a time in Ravnica when Char came out, this was one of the top tier cards in Standard? I remember Char going for $15, $16. Yeah, nutty, right? It doesn't even seem that good today. Gut Shot, there's a source of damage that's quasi-free. Burn from Within, Rift Bolt, Magma Giant, just a big old 5/5 that brings up its own Pyroclasm with it. Kind of neat. Pyrokinesis can be free if you want it to, if you've got some extra red cards in your hand laying around that you're not going to cast. Good old-fashioned Fireball. Except no substitute, right? And then Price of Progress. Telling y'all, Price of Progress has earned its space in every red deck I've ever put it in, because you can look around and this 2-mana instant will deal 20 damage plus a lot of... Now, granted, that's spread out amongst players, and it can put a target on you. But let's face it, we have 3 non-basic lands in the deck, 2 of which will probably only ever see play. So, Price of Progress is a perfect fit for this deck. Now, other category here, like Reverberate, just a copy to whatever it is, and then Tenza. Because Tenza, what a card, right? Because it's gonna be red, and if it's our commander, it's probably +3/+3 trample. We need that trample. That is important. Another good one in here, maybe Loxodon Warhammer, just for the trample. Now the lifelink's kind of silly too. Here I am suggesting upgrades to my own deck. But that's, if I'd had those cards at my disposal at the time I built the deck, that's what I would have done. I haven't gone back and updated it because, let's face it, there have been so much to come out last year that I on to a new deck. Structural Assault is we are running lots of rocks. I get that, but sometimes, especially right now, anything artifact destruction right now is at its peak. Brothers War brought back those 63 artifacts, and then itself has a lot of artifacts. In Commander, we have a lot of Transformers running around. Artifact destruction is at a premium right now. Quit sinking, camera. Chaos Warp, just good removal. And that brings us to our non-basic lands. The Forgotten Cave is the one that probably won't be in play a lot of the time. And then Temple of the False God. because it's single color, you know. And then lastly, Rogue's Passage to try to eke out that commander damage win, you know, or the commander damage elimination. But that is it for the Red Tear. I do appreciate y'all watching. I know it's been a while. Here we are in 2023. I'm going to try to rectify that, and because I have a ton of decks built that I'm excited to show y'all, and building more every day. So thank you so much. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.